Hi guys, cracking the whip. So this is the third time I've tried to record this video. I recorded it yesterday and only realised this morning that the microphone on my camera wasn't working. So there was just 10 minutes of silence with my mouth moving up and down with no words coming out, which is pretty annoying. Tried to refilm it before and for some reason the file hasn't saved on my memory card. So again, I'm yapping away for 10 minutes only to come to my PC and realise there's nothing there. So I've just stopped myself from throwing the camera out the window and just filming the damn thing on my phone instead. So I do apologise if there's lots of camera shake or poor quality. You're just going to have to put up with it for this one, guys. I'm sorry. So what have I been trying to talk to you about these last few videos? So I'm talking to you today about writer's motivation. And it's hard to motivate yourself as a writer, as I'm sure you already know. And what is it that can demotivate you as a writer? Well, there's a catalogue of things. There's a long list of things that can demotivate writers from getting their works in progress from where they need to be. I'm not intending to go through all those. It's going to depend on each person. But what I can talk to you about is what demotivated me and what I did about it in the earlier days of my writing journey. I can't really call it a career because I've never actually finished a book yet, but we'll call it a journey, shall we? So, writing is a task. Wrong. Writing is not a task. If you think of a task, it's something you might stick on the end of a to-do list. Once it's done, it's complete, you tick the task and that's it, you walk away. That's not how writing works, guys. I'm sure you've realised this by now. You can't just sit down, write for an hour, tick a box, and your task is complete. You know that writing is a long process. It takes a while to achieve what it is you're trying to do. So if you consider writing as a task that needs to be done, you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, you can think of it in a way that I want to sit down tonight, write for an hour, stick that on your to-do list and tick that off when you do it that night. That's fair enough. And if that's working for you, please, by all means, carry on doing it. But what I found is I used to do that in the early days. I'd try and get into a habit of writing and motivate myself to keep doing it by taking that to-do list approach, thinking of it as a task. And I'd tick it off every night. But then I found myself getting a bit bored. You're setting yourself the same task, completing that task that evening, and then resetting the same task again because you want to write every day. So in a way, the task started to lose meaning because you're setting yourself the same task, completing it every day, and then just resetting it again. So maybe even psychologically, I started to think that it didn't actually get me anywhere. I wasn't achieving anything. I wasn't moving towards the goal. So what helped for me is to think of writing as a process rather than a task. So if you think about any goal that you're trying to achieve, you've got to think of what that vision is, what your end goal is, and then break it down to all the sequential things that need to happen in order to get you to that end goal. Think of these as milestones, and working from the beginning to that end goal is a process. And you may have some wins along the way that you're calling your milestones, and they're the things that you celebrate. And that's what you're working towards. And that's the thing that motivates you, or at least it motivated me. So, making this up off the top of my head, but you might think the first big milestone is to draft your first draft of your first chapter. When you've done that, whether you've got a 3-page chapter or a 50-page chapter, it doesn't matter. You've hit that milestone and you're working towards the next one. And these aren't repeatable things. That milestone's done. It's complete. So you'll get that dopamine release of achieving something. And dopamine is addictive. I'm sure you kind of know about this. And if you don't, please Google it. So achieving your goals is addictive. You do want to achieve more goals the more goals you achieve, if that makes sense. So that's how you build habit. That's how you build motivation. So by setting yourself these small micro goals, if you will, these milestones along the process, then you're more likely to stick to the task that you're trying to do, which is writing, and ultimately move in the direction of completing your work in progress. So that's what worked for me. I'll set myself the small goals to achieve, part of a process, and working my way through. Never looking backwards, always looking towards that end goal, which was getting closer and closer and closer, because I had it visualized, I had the process in my head, I knew where in the process that I was, and I knew that I was getting closer and closer to it every day. And realizing that I was getting closer, seeing myself slide along that bar towards that end goal, if you will, was far more motivating than setting myself a task of writing. So hopefully that would be useful for you if you're finding yourself struggling with motivation. If you find yourself setting tasks that you don't always stick to, or if you do stick to them, you don't feel like they're actually helping you with your motivation by creating a habit, this is something that you could try. And it's something that I wish I had tried far earlier, when I spent years and years just procrastinating and not being able to get a habit of writing. So that's all for me today, guys. I do apologise for the wobbly cam. I'm going to try and get my microphone fixed soon. If this has been useful for you, please give it a thumbs up. If you like these videos, consider subscribing. If you didn't like this video, tell me why in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs down, and I can only improve them with good feedback. So good luck this week writing your work in progress, guys. Let's get cracking, and we'll get there one step at a time as part of a process, not a task. Have a good one, guys.